Welcome back. Let's catch some more cheaters. Okay, let's dive straight in. First up here looks like we are in Philippines. We have a concrete road, which is very common there. These segments here are what I like to look for in the Philippines. Driving on the right, it looks like. Concrete pole. Typical Philippines round. We're in moving. Let's see if the player moves at all. Nope, plunking from space. And presumably very close to the actual location. We see English. Oh, there actually is the name of the city might actually be right here, but I don't think that player is going to use that information because I'm fairly confident already that they're scripting. Looks like they're kind of zooming into stuff, trying to look like they're not cheating, but I'm not convinced. The way that they're moving around the map is so strange too. And then of course, yeah, at some point there, I think they were actually exactly on the 5K even. Yeah, right here, they are exactly on the 5K. So if we skip forward, see where they are there. And then when you see the actual location pop up here, it's right where they were. So it's like, why didn't they stay there if they had a good reason to guess there? It's because they were cheating and they wanted to make it look less suspicious. The other thing that makes it very clear that they were cheating is that at one point here, they actually click off the screen. You can see they actually move without being able to see that on the map. You can't click somewhere that you can't see, but they were able to click off the map. You can only do that with a script. So this is a case where I'm very confident that they cheated. No need to Google if you script. All right, next case. Okay, looks like we are in New Zealand here potentially. Yeah, with this kind of dashed outer line and the architecture. Driving left, it looks like. It's a little hard to tell, but it looks like we're driving left. And let's see what happens. We are rated 1100 to 1200, so a pretty highly rated player. They have some information here. The giveaway sign here with the red text is going to be New Zealand instead of Australia. There's some mountains in the distance to the northwest. Haven't seen anything too suspicious yet. Looks like they're moving around like you would expect someone to. Looking at the phone code maybe. And here we go. We have really good information there. So that had the road number and also some towns that are close by. And let's see how close they get. Okay, so they are right in the right town. So let's see. So we have the 77 and we have these two place names. Let's see if those come up on the map. Ooh, so okay, this is kind of suspicious. Yeah, at first I thought this wasn't too suspicious, but now that we're seeing how high up they're clicked here, let's see if they move once they get closer or if that ends up being their final guess. It actually looks like this is a team duel. So that was their teammate that clicked up there and then they click here, which and they click back over there. Yeah, seems actually perfectly legit to me. They zoom into this level, which is a reasonable reaching guess with sort of the landscape that we've seen, the vegetation. You would think of South Island. They zoom into South Island. They click kind of in the middle of it, which is a good hedge. And then realizing that they have a couple seconds left, I think they're probably scanning for the 77. It pops up pretty prominently here. So it's not too hard to spot that. And then they kind of click right where it says 77. And they get a little bit lucky that the actual location is right there. Very possible that they Googled something or scripted. Well, actually, I don't think it's likely that they Googled something. There wasn't any very long pauses in here anywhere. It's possible that they scripted. I think more likely they just got lucky. It's a nice guess on the 77. But on this one, I'm going to go ahead and say innocent. All right, next case. Okay, we are in North America, I believe, with the yellow road line and this vegetation. I'd say it's more likely to be Canada with a single yellow line as opposed to the US, and the vegetation looks fairly northern. I'm not sure exactly where I think it is beyond that, but let's see what the player does. We're in moving. Okay, we have English on the sign. Another good sign that we are in Canada or the US. Player's moving down the road. Doesn't look like they're fast moving. And yep, there we go. So right there, I'll just go back to it quick. Right there, we have the confirmation that this is Canada. So if you didn't know, in the US, it would say speed limit on the speed limit signs, and in Canada, it says maximum. So we're definitely in Canada. The player will have seen that and probably know that. Moving down the road, presumably looking for a road number or a town name or something like that at this point. Looking at the license plate, probably looking for a place name here. Okay. Okay, yeah, they didn't stop long enough there to Google that. Let's see if they stop anywhere else. Looking at the license plate again. Honestly, even just looking at the license plate is pretty... Okay, now we're stopping on this sign for a little while. So I was about to say that looking at the license plate makes this look less suspicious because if you were cheating, then a license plate isn't a super useful clue for you. But if you were a legit player, then looking at a license plate might be something that you would focus on. But then they stopped for so long after looking at this retail sign. And retail signs are the kind of information that if they don't have the name of the town on them are basically only useful for Googling. I kind of doubt that this player knows Canadian phone codes at this rating. Always possible, but again, they stop and look at that sign for so long that if you knew the phone code, you would just see that and then move on immediately. So in this case, I am thinking that they might have Googled this sign, and they're stopping again here for a while. Moving around a little bit more. Let's see how close they get on this round, because I think this is a fairly difficult round unless you get information to get really close on. Getting the correct province is probably possible for somebody who knows the phone codes and the license plates. We have no front plate there, so that's already helpful. This one does have a front plate though, so we have a mixture of plates. Looking at the license plate again, we have red on this one. Okay, zooming into Africa. Okay, now we're New Brunswick, and it ends up being pretty close. Okay, so it's a little bit suspicious, but I don't think it's that suspicious. The landscape and everything makes sense for this type of guess. It's not like they're in the right town. I think it is possible that they Googled that sign. Let me just go back and quickly see how long they were stopped on the real estate sign and around that time. Okay, so that was 17 seconds, those two pauses. Oh, here's another one. It looks pretty suspicious. 22 seconds total now where they're kind of just zoomed into weird stuff, paused. And then at this point, I think the rest of the round looks pretty legit. See how long they stop on this one. This pause seems pretty legit. Let's see, yeah, and then they don't stop too long. So here's the deal. It's long enough to have Googled. It was very suspicious, but I don't think it's enough. I think there was enough other information in the round to have made that guess without Googling. I think it's fairly likely that they Googled, but I don't think it's 100%. So on this one, I'm actually gonna say insufficient evidence. Okay, next case. All right, not sure exactly where this one is. We have the white outer lines and this general vegetation and landscape. We're definitely in Europe somewhere. I'd say probably Mediterranean. I was thinking maybe like Italy or Greece or something like that. It's maybe a little bit too green. But yeah, anyway, I'm not really exactly sure. Let's see what the player does. We're in moving. Okay, they're looking around, moving down the road. Usually going downhill is the better call, so that's already pretty legit. Somebody who knows at least something probably. Wonder if this is like Croatia or something with the tile roof. Those are very common in Croatia. Yeah, and that looks like it could be Croatian. Okay, they're stopping on this sign for a long time. Already getting close to the point where it's too long. Okay, they open up the map. Let's see how close they get here. Okay, they are going into Croatia. That's a weird thing to do, to like start scanning and then stop scanning. Like that looks to me like they switched to another tab. It's like, it's not like they're looking in the map for these places, right? I've never seen a legit player kind of do this sort of behavior where they're like, oh, let me open the map, zoom into Croatia, and then just stare at the sign for another 15 seconds. Really, the only thing that makes sense there is that they would have switched to another tab. Okay, let's see how close they get. That side's a grub here. There's a place that looks close. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, they definitely Googled this one. I think in this one, like honestly, the best evidence is that there's so many places that have a similar name around here, and then they click the right one. It's like, why didn't they go for this one or this one? And it's not like they were even scanning the map anyway. It's like they clearly knew it was this exact place. From this sign, it's like, unless you were from this region, I don't think this is a big enough place that people would know. It's like this person isn't even trying to hide it. It's like they spend half the round on a different tab. And pretty obviously so. All right, so on this one, I am very confident that they Googled. Let's go on to the next case. Okay, this one looks immediately like Russia to me. We don't have a European license plate. We've got churches everywhere with these domes, and the architecture is very Russian. Russia can be a very hard place for newer players. Let's see how good this person does. Opening their map without moving at all. Okay, now they're looking around. Okay, maybe looking for a place name on these signs. Could make sense. Okay, stopping for a little while here. I don't speak Russian, so I'm not actually sure how useful this information is. Phone codes can be useful. I don't actually know them for Russia though. They're stopping on this sign for a long time. Okay, now they're zooming in, going near Moscow it looks like. It's very suspicious how long they looked at this sign, going Nizhny, and it ends up being just south. Yeah, it's suspicious. So on this one, I think that was actually quite suspicious, but I don't speak Russian, so I'm actually not sure what this sign says. And if somebody did speak Russian, that might have been very useful information, and they didn't stop on it super, super long. So I think without actually speaking Russian, I'm not quite confident enough to say that they definitely cheated. So on this one, I'm gonna say insufficient evidence. I don't think they scripted though. All right, we have very dark soil on this next round, kind of interesting. I would think right off the bat that this is most likely Argentina with these kind of small bushes and this dark soil. You sometimes see that kind of like south in Argentina. Not all the way south. It's not hilly enough to be Chile, I don't think. I do think it's South America. Anyway, let's see what the player does. We're in moving. Looking around a little bit, moving this way down the road. I haven't seen anything too suspicious yet. They're just kind of moving down the road. What an advanced player would be doing at this point is kind of tracking the direction of the road here. So they'd be noticing that we're going south. We're meeting up with another road at an intersection here. Kind of making that mental map as you go is very useful for moving. Okay, we have a place name here. It looks like a tiny, tiny place. Okay, so the longer they look at this sign, the more suspicious I am. Again, any case where they're not immediately opening their map to look for this is really suspicious. Okay, so now they're opening the map, zooming straight into a specific spot. They're already zooming in a little bit too far. Okay, they could be scanning. It's not a crazy place to region guess. Looks like they're potentially actually just properly scanning. Okay, now I'm not exactly sure what they're doing unless they're lining up a road. Okay, they're looking at a specific intersection. Ah, interesting. That's a little bit too close, I think. I don't want to rely on the rating range too much because this could be a second account or somebody who's just played a lot but hasn't done a lot of duels. So I'm not going to go on that too much. The region guess makes sense. It's not, I mean, it's a little bit further north than I thought, but that is still perfectly legit. I think that the thing that's suspicious about this is that that place name doesn't show up on the map, right? So it's like, why did they click there? Sure, if like you knew every road in Argentina, then maybe you'd be able to recognize this sort of shape. This was kind of the shape that they were moving down. The thing that I was saying would be a good idea to visualize. And it's like the place name is here, but you don't see that until you're like right up in it. So it's like if you're from here, like you have no reason to click there instead of here or here or here, right? The landscape isn't quite unique enough that that's like a findable place in my opinion. And let's see if they plonk from a height that is reasonable. Yeah, so great example. They click here. Even if for some reason they had found this place, that would be a crazy guess, but it's like they haven't actually found the place. And we know that because they haven't zoomed in far enough to actually see it. So there it is. And then if I zoom in further, you can see there's the actual place name. They never saw that on the map. So they definitely scripted in this case. And the reason I'm saying that they scripted is because where they guessed is, I think actually where they are, so they definitely scripted or Googled. I'm actually not 100% sure which one they did in this case. The reason I think that they could have scripted is that it looks like their marker is down right where they are in the actual moving over here. So I know that some scripts allow you to kind of press a button and it puts your marker down where you've actually moved to. And so it looks like the actual location was up here, but then remember they moved down this road and now their marker is roughly where they actually are in the map over here, like in the street view over here. That being said, they also stopped for a while on this suspicious sign. It's a case where it's like, I'm 100% sure they cheated. I'm not 100% sure which one they did. I am going to have to pick one because I don't want to say insufficient evidence on both because they definitely cheated. So in this case, I think I'm actually going to say, so in this case, I'm going to actually say that they were guilty of Googling. And I've chosen Googling over scripting because they stopped so long on that sign. I think it's possible they actually were doing both or that they were scripting and not Googling, but I'm 100% sure that they cheated. I'm pretty sure it was Googling. I'm going to go for guilty on Googling. All right, next case. All right, this one to me looks like Philippines right off the bat. We have the white car, we're driving on the right. This is the front of the car. We have English over here on the sign and we have a concrete road with a segment in the middle. Tropical vegetation, lots of these kind of red roofs, blue buildings. And this white and red chevron over here is the Filipino style. So all in all, a pretty easy Philippines round and we are rated pretty highly. So I expect the player to probably get this. Let's see if they do anything suspicious though. Looking around, see that round concrete pole again that we saw in the other Philippines round. Yellow road lines, we're driving on the right. We're looking at the English on the sign, zooming straight into the Philippines, clicking right in the middle of it. Yeah, perfectly fine. Another case where it's like they click the middle of the country and it happens to be pretty close to the middle. So it's like, I see maybe why this was reported if you thought that that was kind of a difficult Philippines round or something like that, but it wasn't a difficult Philippines round and they clicked basically right in the middle of the country. Don't even get that close. Definitely innocent. Okay, next case. All right, looks like we have some US in this case. I'm pretty sure this is northeast, that kind of style of church over there, the double yellow line in the middle, lots of pine trees, wooden poles. Should definitely be US or Canada, and I lean US in this case, although could be wrong. We're in moving. Let's see what the player does. Turning around, see the front of the car there. Actually, as I'm looking around more, I do think this is probably Canada. Oh yeah, and we see the street sign down at the bottom here. Definitely Canada. The checkerboard pattern on this road end sign is the Canadian style. So definitely Canada. And then we have these Canadian road numbers. There's a ton of information here. A lot of stuff you could Google, but also stuff you could scan for. So let's see what the player does. They zoom right in on this sign, probably the best info here. So I would expect them to open the map and start looking for the 215 or some of these place names at some point. If they look like they're switching to another tab, I'm going to be a little bit suspicious. It's like you got to open your map to use this information. It's like, what are you doing if you're just staring at this? It doesn't take quite this long to think if you've heard of it. And if you are just thinking if you've heard of it, you might want to move around more and look for more info or something while you're thinking about it rather than sort of just staring at it. They're zooming straight into a very specific place here. Let's see if we find the 215. There it is. I don't see any of those place names yet. Oh, I think we saw Burnt Coat somewhere. And there's, yeah, that one is there as well. And they get the right place. It's another one where they stopped a little bit too long, I think. Let me go ahead and watch it back and see how long exactly it was that they stopped. Okay, they're back after 18 seconds and stopping again. Could be scanning at this point, so I won't consider that suspicious. So yeah, 18 seconds is long enough to Google it. I also actually gave them the benefit of the doubt on some of these where it's like they stopped for a little bit and then moved again and then stopped for a little bit. I only counted the time where they were stopped consistently, but even this stuff is a little bit suspicious because they could be switching back and forth to make it look less suspicious. But 18 seconds is way too long to be staring at the sign without searching the map. Again, if you're thinking about if you've heard of these places, then you really should be moving. I mean, the thing about these duels is that they're very sort of high intensity, fast paced sort of things. You don't want to be giving your opponent 18 seconds where you're not doing something productive. So really in this case, I'm 100% sure that they Googled. All right, next one here, we are in Europe. Looks like it's probably Vienna with these street signs. Yeah, Vienna also has all these very colorful buildings. We see the European license plate. Presumably we would see some German. Looks like that might be. And all in all, a pretty easy Vienna round. These street signs are unique to Vienna. We're in moving. Let's see what the player does. Okay, looking around a little bit. Zooming in on a business. Okay, they move away from it though. Looks like we actually had like Italian there, but this should be Vienna. It said Austria over on the right. This is a really easy round, so they'd have to do something really suspicious for me to be suspicious of it. At some point, it's like if the round is easy enough, then even if they were cheating, you wouldn't really be able to tell. They're going back to the start here, looking for this street sign potentially. They're going into Europe, and did they plonk? Did they even guess, or are they just exactly on it? I'm confused. Did they not guess? As far as I can tell, they didn't actually make a guess here. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that their marker would show up on top of the actual location marker. I might actually check that quick. Just found the nicely titled Mom's map. It only has 5 locations, so I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and get a 5K on this and see if the marker appears on top. Okay, so we're back in this round. I just did it once, so let's quickly 5K this one. Okay, so we got the 5K. So the location marker does actually show up on top of the guess marker. If they're right on top of each other, you can't actually see where the person guessed. Is there maybe a slight border? I'm noticing it moves a little bit weird when you zoom in and out, but I wasn't exactly on top of it. Let me go back to the round. So here's our round. If I do that same thing, maybe it is moving a little weird. So I'm a little bit conflicted about this one because if somebody reported it, I kind of have to assume that they saw something suspicious. But on the other hand, if this person just didn't guess, they timed out, then I really don't want them to get banned for that. That would be ridiculous. It's like if they did make a guess, then they definitely 100% cheated because they're 0 meters away. And that's just I should be able to, at max zoom level, see the difference between their guess and the thing. There's no way that they got the exact centimeter. But given that I'm not actually sure they guessed, I am actually gonna say insufficient evidence. Let me know in the comments if it's possible that they didn't guess. I'm not sure if that would show up in this mode. And also let me know if there's a way to tell if they are exactly on the marker, because I'm really curious about that. But on this one, I'm actually gonna have to say insufficient evidence description. All right, next one. Okay, so this is an interesting one. It looks like it's Kenya, maybe? Sorry, not Kenya, but Nigeria is actually what I meant. So these poles are the Nigerian style poles, and this architecture looks fairly Nigerian with these kind of tall roofs like this. So I do think this is probably Nigeria. Fairly central, I would think. Not super tropical, but it's also not super dry either. So I would probably just click the middle of Nigeria on this round. Let's see what the player does. We're moving. Yeah, there's the follow car. And they're going very specific. They're scanning around. Interesting. I haven't actually seen anything too suspicious yet. Oh, wow. How is that possible? I wonder if this could be a repeat. May sound kind of weird to you guys, but I actually think this might be legit. It looks very suspicious, but the thing that's actually giving me pause is that they click on this place here, which starts with a J, and then they're scanning around, and they're scanning in a way that I consider to be very legit, right? Like they're changing zoom levels, they're zooming in at potential places, and then they see this other place that starts with a J, and they click it, and they click basically right in the middle of it. Move up a little bit. See, the moving up is weird. So the only reason I'm hesitating on this one is that that is kind of what it looks like if you've had a repeat. because it's like, oh yeah, like I had this round before. I knew it was in a town that started with a J over in eastern Nigeria, and maybe they thought it was this one, and they're like, no, that one was too big. It wasn't that one. Let me look maybe over here. And then they see this other one that starts with a J, and they click it. So basically what I'm saying is that I don't think it's impossible that this is legit. Like, I'm not 100% sure that they cheated. I think it's very possible that they did cheat because it's a very good guess in a fairly nondescript location. But this is kind of what it looks like if you've had a repeat. And I don't actually think there's really a good way to tell the difference between a subtle cheater and somebody who just had that round before. I mean, they could have literally had the same round like that morning or whatever and been like, oh yeah, it was that J town in Nigeria, so I'm just gonna find it. And the way that they kind of click that and then click over, I don't know, it's suspicious. I'm gonna go ahead and say insufficient evidence on this one. And that's insufficient evidence of scripting. I don't think they Googled, there wasn't enough information to Google in that round. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a repeat that you think was very suspicious or that was reported or something like that. I've certainly had rounds before where I've like gotten the 5K on a really difficult round, and it's literally just because I've seen that exact location before. It's kind of too bad that it's part of the game, but it is what it is. And it could be that, could also be that this person cheated. Let me know what you think in the comments, I'm curious. All right, let me go on to the next case here. Okay. This is a very easy Australia. We have the Australian style bollard with the red on the top and the silver on the back. And we have the double white road lines in the middle, dry landscape. This is somewhere probably fairly central. It doesn't look too coastal. It's definitely not the middle of the outback either. I'm not sure exactly where I would guess here. Let's see what the player does. We're in moving. They're looking around. Eucalyptus trees are very useful for identifying Australia. If you don't see a eucalyptus tree, probably don't guess Australia. They're that common. Let's see. That looks like it could be the name of a town or something, but it could also just be a name of a person. Haven't seen anything too suspicious yet. They're going Western Australia. Okay, now they're kind of looking over more south, outside Adelaide. Looking outside Adelaide, let's see how close they get here. It's really close. Yeah, looks like luck to me. It's a very sort of realistic thing that they did where they clicked near the yellow road. I always do that because it's just kind of more likely that you're going to be closer to these population centers and stuff than you are going to be here. The fact that they zoomed into Western Australia first makes me think that they didn't really have a good idea of where this was. So if they didn't cheat, then they did get really lucky. But I don't think there's any evidence that they cheated, really, except for that it's a close guess. And a close guess is not enough evidence to say that they cheated. Again, maybe if they had been exactly 0 meters away, it would be very suspicious. But in this case, I'm gonna say insufficient evidence of scripting. I didn't think there was any evidence of Googling. On to the next one. This is an interesting round. This is our highest rated player ever, 1300 plus. So this person is probably way better than me. I'm only around 1100 at the moment. So this is a Brazil round though. We have the red soil and that looks like a Brazilian pole in the back. Let's see what the player does. I kind of hope that they're not cheating because this could be an interesting learning opportunity for me to see how they handle the round. So let's see what they do. Looking around, seeing the Brazilian pole, going straight up into the Amazon. I wouldn't have thought this was Amazon right off the bat, so that's interesting. Close to Boa Vista. Yeah, I think this one's probably legit. For a new player, that would be a really nice guess. But for an experienced player, there's so many vegetation metas in Brazil, and this is a very vegetation heavy round, that I'm not too surprised that they get close. Actually, you know what? And I think I actually know this one. So that palm tree over there with the kind of fan leaves, that's supposed to be sort of the more Amazonian style, which are very common around Boa Vista. I think given a lot more time than this player, I could have made a similar guess. So that makes me think it's less suspicious. But I also just don't think that the way that they moved around and stuff was too weird. Yeah, they actually zoom right in on that palm, and that's when they decide to open the map and go for the guess. Yeah, looks legit. It's a good guess. It's a good player, but I do not think that they cheated. We're gonna call it there. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you all for the amazing support I've been getting on the last few videos. I love reading all your comments and hearing what you think about these rounds. It means the world to me that you guys are all liking and subscribing and commenting. It's really amazing. It keeps me motivated to keep doing this. So if you wanna see more, keep liking and commenting and subscribing. And thanks so much. I'll see you next time.